Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the Locker Room live show every Sunday. I'm looking at my locker room thing, and I don't see anybody here, although I see requests to speak, so now I'm confused why it's not telling me why that is. But anyway, here we are, and I suppose there's people out there on the YouTube side. We are doing a live simulcast on YouTube. So if you're out there on YouTube, you can always download the Locker Room app on iOS, and you can come in here and actually be part of the show. But somebody explained to me why I don't see anybody in the show when my phone is telling me that there are people requesting to speak. I don't get it. But is anybody over on Locker Room? Can you hear me? Let me know. Then that's weird because I'm hearing it through my iPad, which I don't normally do. Anyway, why does this not work properly? Is anybody over on Locker Room? Because it's supposed to be doing it there, and how do I check that? Anyway, geez Louise. Anyway, well, here we are. What's up, everybody, over on YouTube at least? But let me just ask somebody over here on the Locker Room side if they have any insight into why this isn't working or not. Anyway, so let's talk about Steph, shall we? And let's see if this works because, anyway, sorry. Locker Room show, if you want to join, I wish I could figure out why this is not working. Anyway, because again, if people want to chop it up and bring in the show with me, you can on Locker Room normally. But of course, this is not working. Maybe it's the simulcast on YouTube. I don't know. But maybe I'll split this and figure out what's happening in a minute if somebody gets back to me. So let's talk about Steph and his shooting, shall we? Because it's been probably the greatest stretch of his career. I don't think we can find any other 7-game stretch here. It goes back even farther if you want to go 9, 10 games. It's still amazing, but I just try to find that exact sweet spot. So what we're seeing here is the last 7 games. And let's see, and I hope you don't hear me. You probably do because I can't mute Locker Room on my iPad for some reason either. Okay, well, anyway. Let me just see here if it's what's happening if I do this on my phone. Probably nothing, right? Let's see here. Yes, there's lots of people in here, but it doesn't show up on my iPad. Let me try on my phone if I do this. All right, I'm gonna quit out of my iPad if I can figure that one out. All right, let's do it this way. Speaker requests. Okay, so this might work. We'll see. Everyone's joining in to add a request. So remember, if you're on Locker Room, you can always jump into the show. I have everybody come on at the same time. I see everybody on my phone now, at least. So if you're going to do any kind of chatting, it works now. Everybody can hear me. iPad was echoing. Yes. Okay. So this might work better with my phone. Anyway, here we are. Again, if you want to chop it up, Hassan, Max, you guys there? Oh, wow. I don't hear anything. Okay, so clearly there's a problem when I'm using I'm simulcasting to Locker Room and to YouTube. It doesn't work that way. So I suppose, how else am I going to do this? Here's what I'll do. I'll do a bit on YouTube and Locker Room, and then what I might end up doing is ending the YouTube broadcast and then going over to Locker Room to finish it off so you guys can chop it up with me there. So just hang tight, and I'll be able to chat with you, but I don't know why it doesn't send me the audio now. I mean, I guess if I try this and do it again, what happens? All right, say something, Hassan. Are you there? What if I tried this? No, that won't work either. Okay. Well, anyway, can't hear anybody yet. So I'll come back to you guys as soon as I finish. We'll do about 20 minutes on YouTube. I'll just talk, and then we'll go from there. If you have questions everywhere, then we'll make that happen. But everybody can hear me on Locker Room, right? And we'll go from there. All right. So if you want to also have some questions over on the YouTube side, forgive me for the whatever, but here we are. Okay. Am I going to do a video from the game last night? Well, I had to decide if I wanted to do a video on the game, the Celtics Warriors, which I watched a bunch of, or just do a video on Steph Curry's last 7 games. And I think that's what I'm going to do. It just seems more interesting. Although it was pretty crazy, and to see, Jason Tatum went back and forth with Steph as well. But the Warriors kind of had that game. It's interesting. It was unclear to me exactly what happened there at the end when they had like a 5 or 6 point lead with like 3 minutes to go. So we got to study that. But I think what I'm going to end up doing, I mean, unless everyone in the comments is going to start saying you have to do this Boston Warriors Golden State game. The only problem is Sundays are tough. I don't know if I have enough time to finish it today. And then by tomorrow, it's probably too old, right? No one's going to want to watch it. So anyway. Jabari looked pretty good, so the question is, did he look better than, Mo Wagner, who they had to get rid of for him? Probably. Let's actually look at that box score. I'm kind of curious what Jabari's numbers were overall. Where am I going to look at this here? Let's go to the games. So, the question was, how did I think Jabari? Now, so I did see some of the things where Steph was trying to ISO on him or try to pull on him 2 or 3 times on those threes, and he actually, got a hand up, and Steph missed those. So in 15 minutes, yeah, he had 11 points, 5 for 6. I just was looking at the way he was moving on the court, which looked really good. So that's probably what the Celtics saw and realized that he could probably still help them and not be banged up. Okay, the Dubs should sign Wagner for the rest of the year. I mean, he's not he could shoot it. Although I don't think his statistics will show that very well, but he's never really had a great opportunity to get any kind of minutes. Would Wagner fit in on the Warriors? I mean, probably. They're looking for anything and any kind of shooting they can get. But let's talk about these numbers that we see right now from Steph. So over the last, oh my goodness, where did my tab go with all his numbers? Okay, here it is. Over the last 7 games, oh my goodness, it didn't set up. Okay, this is so annoying when it does this. The website on stats.nba.com. Last 7 games. Here we go. Steph Curry. Are you ready? 40.9 points per game. 57.1% field goal percentage. 52.4% from 3. 90.2% from free throw line. He missed 1 last night, I saw. 6.1 rebounds, 4.9 assists, 3.6 turnovers. The effective field goal percentage, though, is, oh, goodness gracious, 73.6. That is insane. That's like maybe, a center who all he does is dunk. That's what their effective field goal percentage would be. And this guy's doing it as a guard. He's taking, Steph is taking over the last 7 games almost 15 threes a game. That is insane. He's taking 23.3 overall. So he's still getting 8 shots inside the 3-point line as well. And in fact, against Cleveland, he was really off, didn't score that well from behind the arc. But he still got his 35, backdoor cutting, driving to the basket. Like, that's how good this guy is. I mean, and this is how well he's playing. The terror in the defense's face when he's got the ball is insane. The interesting thing about last night, I noticed that was a number of his misses from 3 off the dribble were on the strict pick and roll. That wasn't working so well for him. It was all the ISO stuff that he was doing that really worked well for them. And in fact, listen, we saw Grant Williams come over, foul them on a sort of sidestep to right at the 3-point line. Didn't quite get behind the line. Double pump, like left-handed hook, and it went right in. It wasn't like a bank shot. It didn't like hit the rim and get a lucky roll. This thing went right in the basket. So this is insane, the kind of skill he has. I doubt he's practiced that shot, but who knows at this point. I'm sure he's done lefty little hooks from closer in, so why not do it from about 23.5 feet? I mean, that was probably the greatest shot I've ever seen. Will, what's happening? Good to have you here in the show. Good to have everybody over on Locker Room and on YouTube at the same time. If you want to come in and talk on the Locker Room app, we'll go for another 10 minutes or so, I think, on the YouTube side. And then I got to figure this out. I might just sort of cut the thing on YouTube so I can maybe get the thing to work on my computer with the Locker Room app. It was a nice test to see if I could simulcast. It seems to work one way out to you, but the beauty of the Locker Room app, which everyone should get if you're on iOS, is that we can chop it up together. So we'll do that in a minute. So stay with me. What else? So this is incredible stuff. And if you have any points you want to make on Locker Room in the chat, I'll keep my ears open for that, or eyes open for that as well. So anyway, Steph should be in the MVP conversation. That's another interesting question because I just did a video where we discussed Jokic versus Embiid. Didn't even do that well, which is strange to me. Usually that video does well. I do it almost every year now because it's always the talk of the day. And you have to imagine, like, I thought Harden, before he got injured, really had a shot at, being the MVP discussion. And Steph, was toiling away. It's not obscurity because everyone sees his highlights every night and knows, and I think is acknowledging it. But he almost reserves a special place for himself, on in the MVP race or whatever. Here's the thing with the records we've seen. Russ won it with a very suboptimal record on OKC, having averaged his first triple double of his career when he did that. Steph has got the Clippers. I mean the Warriors competing. They're right now in 9th place, tied with the Spurs, 2 games behind Memphis for the 8th spot. So they're in the play-in situation. We know how troubled the roster is outside of Steph, pretty much the way this all fits together. So you could argue that to get them at 500 in the West, the way this is going, is worthy of MVP discussion without question. He's been carrying them on some of these games, unlike anybody we see except for LeBron. So it's probably time to kind of start to do that. Now, interestingly enough, let's see, the Warriors are only 5-5 in the last 10, and there was some notion that, okay, Oubre went down and Wiseman went down, they're going to be playing better. I don't necessarily see that. Listen, Oubre was terrific for them on the defensive end, and struggled offensively to kind of fit into what they were doing. But the little plays that he would make, deflections and contesting shots on the defensive end was terrific, I thought, for them. And it could be viable for them in the future once they get Clay back and kind of get everything else, all the people's roles back in the right spots. And then Wiseman, again, what do we expect? The guy played 3 games in college. He was going to have an up and down year no matter what you did, however you managed his, development. So I'm convinced he still can be an all-star. The guy has got talent up the wazoo and he can move. Luckily, the knee injury isn't a severe one that should affect the rest of his career. So I'm not really necessarily buying that all of a sudden it kind of works. I bet you can argue that maybe since they went down, the offensive rating has gone up a little bit more. If you have to rely on Kent Bazemore, that's a real dicey proposition. And he did okay last night, but he missed a couple free throws toward the end that didn't help. So that is an interesting issue to discuss. So I do feel like the MVP race should include Steph. Right now to me, it's Jokic's to win. And I think the interesting thing about the Nuggets is that, after Jamal Murray goes down, they're deep. They have enough to kind of cover that, at least in the regular season. And I think it also should indicate to me that Jokic's numbers will go up even higher now, and that will just solidify his argument to be MVP. They have a better record than the Warriors. They have a much better team around him, but that usually is what drives the MVP conversation. So let's see here. If by MVP conversation you mean like top 10, I guess, but if you're talking about does he deserve consideration as top 5, I'm sorry, KC Supersonic one, that's ridiculous. Steph needs to be in the conversation, at least in the top 5 for MVP. There are not, you want to say top 10 as if there's like 9 other players playing better than him this year? That's crazy. There's no question that Steph needs to be in the top 3. I think it's Embiid, Jokic, and by the way, Embiid probably should win it, but he missed enough games where you got to split hairs at some point. And it's Embiid, Jokic, and then it's Steph. There's no other. I mean, who else are we going to throw in there this year? Who am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting at least one player. Let's see here. Let's see. Over on the locker room, we'll go through here on some of the comments. Steph does practice lefty jumpers almost just like that. There's footage floating around of it. Haha. Well, yeah, but I don't think he's practicing the lefty fling across the side of his body while getting fouled on the way down, from 25. But okay. Draymond over helping. Yeah, I did see that. I've noticed that Draymond has been out of position a lot more, maybe trying to do a lot more than he normally does. And sometimes it works great, other times it doesn't, and you can be a problem. Speaking over helping, I almost feel like this might not be a bad segue into. I went through some of the footage of the Spurs Suns game because I was kind of curious how they got hammered so badly. It was their 4th game in 7 nights, whatever, but it was all at home. They're coming off a 4-game winning streak, so it's like you're bound to have a dud at some point from the Suns' perspective. But just speaking of the overhelping, there's some sequences here, and we can talk about this generally as far as it was a pick and roll, and Ayton was dropped and was containing the ball handler as he's coming toward the basket. Now, a lot of times when you have penetration off the dribble, the lowest guy comes over, and that would have been Cam Johnson guarding the guy in the weak side corner. And I get you're trained to do that when you see the dribbler coming, but what he didn't seem to notice is that Ayton was in position in front of the dribbler and was not getting beat. He didn't have to then rotate all the way over, because what happens is the dribbler got a dribble into the lane near the dotted line and just threw it to the corner for a wide open three, and he nailed it. And I shared that on Twitter if you want to see the video of this. So that was what you need to be as a defender, to be able to follow the rules, right? Lowest defender rotates over, the farthest guy drops down. But when your teammates in front of you are in positions where you don't need to help like that, then you have to break that rule, and stay home, because otherwise you're giving up something you don't need to, which is a corner three, the one thing you don't want to give up. And those were the shots that started to get the game out of control for the Suns. The Spurs went to a zone, which seemed to disrupt the rhythm of the offense on the Suns side, and then the Spurs just getting into the lane. All of a sudden, they said, you know what, we are going to dribble into the lane, and either we're going to get dishes for dunks or kickouts for threes. And then that's what broke the game open early at the end of the first quarter, and it was never in doubt after that. The Suns continued to struggle after that. The Spurs had a chokehold on that game the entire time. So it's impressive to see. It's a good win for the Spurs, who are now tied for that in that 9th spot, and we have to figure out what's going to happen with them, because that was without DeMar DeRozan, who's going to come back for the stretch run. They're going to be viable. I mean, I don't think that they get above the 8th spot, and they'll have to be involved in the play-in stuff. But still, that's it's impressive to see them continue to be competitive this way. Let's see here. I guess. Oh, okay. Luka is who I was forgetting, and Giannis. So good points all for that. So that's the other interesting thing, because Giannis, the Bucks, you could argue, are having like a sort of a suboptimal year for them. I mean, they're 4 games out in 3rd place. I think it's worth. I might have to take another deep dive. I had done one on the Bucks and what was wrong. But I feel like it's been a little bit better recently for them. And I don't know. There's something I gotta get my eyes more on the Bucks to figure out exactly what their situation is. But there's just something about fatigue with MVP, with Giannis, I suppose. Luka, it's funny because the Mavs are now, let's see here, in 7th place, 2 games behind Portland, who just continues to do their thing. And let's see here, in the last 5, they're 6-4. By the way, that shot that Luka hit, I remember I've been advocating one-footed threes, right? Well, that was a one-footed three. Not like that, though, but you can see that it makes that shot a little bit easier. You have to do a lot less effort to get the ball to the basket because your momentum is giving you more energy. So that's the only thing. So I guess if we're going to argue that Steph should be at the very top of the MVP argument, then Luka should too. If we're going to have to try and say that like record doesn't matter or it holds you back only a certain amount, then the Mavericks are doing better than that too. And it's interesting because the Mavericks personnel around Luka, I mean, I think we could say it's better than the Warriors, but like probably not by a huge amount the way they're going now. Now KP certainly changes that trajectory, but I kind of feel like, let me just check really recently. He's been out too, right? I feel like I haven't seen him in the last couple games I've been watching. It's kind of hard to manage every single team and everybody player. No, so he only missed he was playing the last couple games, and then the one before that he missed. So, and he's actually been doing well. So, with KP, that does change the trajectory as far as if you want to compare the Warriors and the Mavs. Now that said, that kind of makes it a better argument for Steph because he really doesn't have any kind of help like that at all. Let's see here. So how are we doing over on the live stream? So we're getting about 20 minutes in. So here's the thing. The beauty of the Locker Room app is that we can mix it up and talk to people, and I want to give them a chance while I'm doing this. The only question now is I might have to restart the room to get it to work. I hope not, but if I do, can you guys all come back on Locker Room, and anybody on YouTube, you can join me there. But let me finish up with some YouTube comments real quick to see if there's any good questions here. Let's see here. Robin Lopez is the top 5 center. So you can see YouTube comments tend to get a little bit unruly sometimes. Here's a question. Let's see if this was one. From a purely individual standpoint, do you believe Steph Curry is the best player in basketball right now? I've never seen a player bend to defense with the gravity he has. I think that's it's an interesting question. If we're going to talk about offense only, then you have to decide, he's got to be. I mean, he's playing better than anybody right now. I mean, LeBron is not out there playing, but man, Does LeBron's impact on the game, is it greater than Steph's? I don't think so. I think because Steph can shoot from now in literally half court, it's like it's the terror on their face. I'm serious. I think it was Jabari Parker. You could see him, and he even got him to miss, but you could see how scared they were of him. Now, you're also scared of LeBron. It's not maybe on people's faces because they're just so used to it at this point. But he doesn't stretch the defense like that at all. In fact, they had an interesting montage of this step back thing he does. The LeBron 3 that he loves to do now, like almost like the Harden thing where he kind of jabs and then steps back. There's a tell, by the way. Watch when he does it. He literally stares at the ball for like a full second before he does it. And I have to imagine that teams are going to see this and know that that's like when a pitcher is throwing, the curveballs, and that. It's the same thing where he literally just like stares at the ball for a while and then like does a step back. So I think that's a tell. He'll have to fix that. I don't think he can get away with doing that more. Because in theory, you can kind of, if you're quick and you have long arms, so that's a strip, or a step and then into the a better contest for him. So anyway, the point being that Steph doesn't do that kind of stuff. He doesn't tell any. You can't figure out what he's going to do when. Plus, he's so varied in his offensive attack, which is what is the key to him being so good. So the Warriors fans who are demanding like the more pick and rolls, it makes no sense. Makes no sense because they kind of argue that, well, if he ran more pick and roll, he'd make the teammates better because we all understand that they're not very good. They don't create on their own. So in their minds, like the pick and roll will then open up those shots. But it's like when you run pick and roll, most of the time Steph's getting double teamed and he has to give up the ball. So now he's not the guy. So it's like, great, Draymond's short roll makes the great decision, and then it's like Bazemore is shooting. Or it's anybody else on their roster shooting. That's not what you want. And yet they're demanding that, thinking it's going to make their teammates better, but then it makes the whole team worse. So, which is precisely why you have to have Steph coming off ball as well. And it makes, when you have him attacking from so many different spots on the floor, the defense can't key in on him like that as well. And then that will open up some extra pick and rolls off of movement when they do those, or handoffs even. The handoffs are probably the best thing that they do because it's like a moving pick and roll at high speed. So it's really unfounded, this criticism of what there's with Steve Kerr and then with Curry, how they're playing him. It's just mind-boggling to me that's been so wrong. But let's see here. What do I think of Kerr's coaching? Well, there you go. Is he making the best decisions for the team? Listen, what are you supposed to do? This is a very flawed roster. The loss of Klay Thompson before the season started really, really killed their whole, it was if it all worked well, they'd be really good, right? It was a very fine line between as they put this team together. So that really, really hurts them. But I don't think that there's many other, versions of this matrix that they would do better than they're doing, honestly. Let's see here. Now, again, there's talking about how his team's not winning enough to get him MVP consideration. Well, the bottom line is if Russ can win it with a last place team or whatever they were then so can Steph. I don't see why not. There's precedent for that. Let's see here. Any other good questions before I log off? Let's see. And then again, if you're over on YouTube and you have an iOS, just get the Locker Room app. We'll finish up this discussion there. And again, I might have to restart the Locker Room app, but I hope I don't. All right, so I think we're going to run off because I want to make sure I can hear people over on the Locker Room app because that's also a real fun time. So head over there. Thanks for being on here on the YouTube side for a little bit. Great to see everybody. Stay tuned. I'm going to do this Steph's greatest run of all time. I hope I can get it done by tomorrow. We'll see. But either way, it'll be Tuesday then. And it should be another good integration of an ad, so stay tuned for that one. But again, thank you everybody on YouTube for being here. Don't forget at B-Ball Breakdown, we're on a channel where conversation, you in, and join me over on the Locker Room app as soon as you can. I'm going to end the stream right